YouTube, Spotify, brother. We're live.
Hey yo.
Let me get my setup up. All right, so we're back. Week 9 recap, Week 10 predictions. Not gonna lie, last week was pretty tough. Not a great weekend all around. Another one, the NFL. I'm pretty done with it. Luckily for me and other people out there, college basketball is back, so it's time to make some good plays on that. College football, maybe, whatever. Um, this was a brutal week for me, but Michael, who will be joining us in just a moment here, he's currently going Gordon Ramsay mode. He won the week 11-4. I think that's the best winning percentage we've had so far. So props to Michael. He's come a long way from the beginning when he was really not knowing what was happening. Cam, you were 8-7, and I was 7-8. So both huddling around 500. I got to do better. Under 500. I think that's the first time I've been under 500. So overall records, Michael is at 60, 45, and 1 at a win percentage of 57%. I'm at 78, 58, and 2, a win percentage of 58%. And you are leading the group with a 53, 36, and 1 record, 60%. We're all within 4% of each other, which is pretty crazy. So we're all hitting at about a 60% rate on just straight up spreads, which is pretty good for, a junior podcast. So let's jump into Week 9 recap. First game on the docket, unfortunately, we have Jets-Texans recap, which will be missing Michael's comment for this. This game was on Halloween. Did you watch this game? What were your thoughts and opinions on it?
Yeah, I was able to catch the first half. Definitely a gross first half. I had in my focus five, I had Texas money line and Mixon the score. Mixon touchdown was the first thing to happen. And I thought I was just going to cruise away with it. Went to bed, woke up, watched the highlights, and figured out the Jets rolled in the second half. Kind of depressing and definitely not good for the AFC East. Not that the Pats really have a shot anymore, but I can never really root for the Jets anyway. But I don't know. That kind of makes it seem like a little bit of a bounce back week for the Texans. I know they got a tough opponent coming up, but another gross Thursday night matchup that ended up being very favorable for the Jets at home.
Yeah, this seemed like it was going to be one of those typical Jets games where everything goes wrong. You have Malachi Corley dropping the ball right on the 1 yard line. Everything kind of just going the wrong way. But then Garrett makes an insane catch. Devontae gets his first touchdown as a Jet. So who knows? Maybe this is the week that we've all been waiting for the Jets to turn it around. We'll have to come back and circle back for Mikey's comment on this, see if this has just boosted his optimism. So I have to address the comments in the chat already. We have 8 comments.
Jeez.
None football related. Who's going to win the election? I'm not going to comment on this. I've been back and forth. Really, I don't really see one side or the other winning right now. I think it's going to be a toss-up, as everyone's saying. So do you have a take on this?
Trump in a layup. Come on.
All right, Kamala or Trump. Cam's picking Kamala. McGann, hi.
Okay.
Who's going to win? Don't know. Who did you vote for? I'll plead the fifth on that. We vote in private booths for a reason. Political talk, no, I really don't like political discourse. Real talk, no, this isn't a political show. You're on the wrong podcast. Kind of a deep question to jump us off here. Diddy or Epstein,
Yeah.
who's worse? My vote right now is for Epstein. I think Epstein has done a lot more that's been proven. I mean, the Diddy stuff hasn't really come to light yet. We don't really know the depth of it. Epstein clearly had people on his list. He had a celebrity network. He had like very little children who are innocent children who have never seen the light of day. He's paid the ultimate crime. He's in prison for life. He would have been in prison. He's dead now because people wanted him dead badly. So I think Epstein is way worse than Diddy as of right now. It could get worse though. What is your take on that?
I didn't come on here to talk about that.
Yeah, let's keep it moving because now look at this. Do you hate Jews because you chose Epstein? Okay, then don't fucking ask a question, bro. Like
that was
geez.
he kind of walked into that though.
Yeah, God forbid I say anything without getting canceled. All right, moving on to the next game. Titans Patriots. This was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
So my setup for watching NFL football this Sunday was I had four YouTube TV. I was at one of my friends' places watching YouTube TV. It had four TVs in the main TV and then the Patriots TV on a different side TV. So it was kind of like hard to pay attention to the Patriots, but obviously you have the insane Drake May play at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. That gives you all the hope in the world, right? But ultimately, they're not able to get it done in overtime. The Titans just run down the field on them. Really, this defense doesn't seem to be able to get situational stops at all. Not really sure what else there is to say. Offensive line, I don't think really played well. Jeffrey Simmons had a day. We'll go to you. Do you agree or?
Yeah, I watched every snap. I was locked in on it. Painful to watch, honestly. I live bet them. I live bet the Patriots probably 5 times, which was brutal. Just money line, not even touching the spread. Thankfully, Ramondre scored early, which helped with what I thought was going to be one of my Focus 5 locks. But yeah, that game was tough to watch. Drake gives you a lot of optimism, but then the O-line is just atrocious. I mean, he has to make these insane plays. I mean, running for almost 100 yards too, basically putting the team on his back. I don't really know what there's much more to say on that. It's just kind of depressing when you lose to the 1-6 Titans team that we've all been fading pretty much since me and Mikey have joined the Dubcast. So that's all I really have to say about it. But it definitely makes me confident in Drake as a quarterback for the Patriots long term. It's just he needs so much more help around him.
Yeah, I will say we did all win the pick. It was Titans 3.5 when we streamed last Wednesday, so we all picked the Patriots. They did cover 3.5. Outlook moving forward, this is just a depressing season. We have a lot of teams at the 2 win range, so really the tankathon is going to start really moving its wheels, and we're going to see where picks play out and stuff like that. I think my opinion on that is I don't think you really need to play for a draft pick at this point. You have the quarterback. That's the only time you really need to play for a draft pick if you're trying to get a quarterback. So we're going to get an offensive tackle. We're going to get a wide receiver with whatever first round pick we have. It's going to be fine. So I'm hoping they can win some more games, maybe get to 4 or 5 wins, maybe improve on last year's record by a win or 2. That'd be really like best case scenario. But right now I'm not really seeing the vision on that, but we'll see what happens. More comments in the chat. Does Soto resign with the bro? This is not a fucking.
Who's
first
this
of all,
red clown? Get him the fuck out of here.
First of all, this is not a baseball show. Fuck baseball. No one has time for 162 games, and I don't think Soto's going to resign with the Yankees. They lost the World Series, and he's asking for a bag, and the Yankees don't pay players when they easily could because Cashman sucks. No trade deadline moves. We have Brett M in the chat for the first time.
Hey.
We can talk about the trade deadline moves. Really, there was a flurry of moves. I'm not sure if you caught all of them.
I didn't catch all of them, but I saw the Lions got Smith. Saw Williams went to the Steelers. I'm curious to see how that'll play out. I know Williams hasn't really done much for the Jets this year, but definitely provides a little bit more help on the offensive side for the Steelers. I'm curious to see how they utilize him. Those are the 2 that come to mind right off the bat, but I'm not exactly sure what else has happened today that I missed.
Mingo.
Yeah, come on. Don't even stop.
All right, Brett was asking specifically about the Patriots. Am I surprised they did nothing? No. I think Elliott Wolf is a little bit of a hack. I'm not really.
I think they've already made their big moves too. They got rid of Judon and Uche.
True.
Their 2 best edge rushers. I don't really know who else you would really want them to give up. I mean, I highly doubt they would. I'm not sure if he wanted us to go after somebody. I don't really see a point in us doing that. If anything, we'd be trading away players as opposed to trying to acquire them. But
yeah, I'm not surprised because like thing about offense, your really veterans are Kendrick Bourne, who hasn't done anything this year, Hunter Henry, who's been like the one solid piece that Drake May can rely on. The offensive line's no one really to trade. Ramondre, I don't think a team's trading for that new contract. And then on defense, it's all kind of younger guys. We already got rid of Judon.
And the people you want, like honestly, they're probably big. Like their best player is probably Christian Gonzalez, and obviously that's the last person you want to trade away. So
yeah.
I'm not surprised. Kind of honestly, I'm happy. I mean, I wish they got a little bit more back for those 2 edge rushers. I mean, I just don't. The trade deadline in football is just so crazy how you can basically get a star player on your team for a 4th or 5th round pick, maybe even less than that. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're acquiring picks. Hopefully that we can get younger and a little bit more talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But
yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised they didn't make any trades. How good is Juan Carlos, Syracuse point guard? Not talking about this. Didn't watch any of the game last night. ESPN Plus paywall. Fuck ESPN. Thoughts on the election? You're supposed to be on this
Mikey, yeah, what
podcast.
the
This is like
fuck, dude?
crime number one. Get in here, bro. What are you doing? You can give your thoughts on the election on this live platform we have. This is some Giants talk that I'll circle back to this comment. No worries when the Giants game comes up because we got to keep this moving.
Yeah.
So a little bit of speed run here. Falcons, Cowboys. Thought the Cowboys could cover this. We both did. Falcons win at home. Falcons just seem to be the team that every time I pick against them, they win. Every time I pick for them, they lose.
Same.
Dak out long term. We can talk about that, the repercussions of that this week. Seems like this season is just a fail for the Cowboys. Got to recuperate, see what happens next year. Maybe lose some of those bigger contracts, get money. Falcons are honestly pretty good so far. I think they have one of the best records in the NFC, running that South division. That seems to be a little bit of a mishap division right now with the Bucs having all the injuries, Saints becoming one of the worst teams in football, and the Panthers just being the Panthers. So we'll move on to Bills Dolphins. If you want to run this one down, what you saw from this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you picked the Bills or the Dolphins, but I had the Dolphins plus the 6. Just kind of seemed like a gritty AFC East matchup, especially with Tua's first game back. They end up covering. They almost end up winning too. Makes me a little bit more confident in the Dolphins betting wise moving forward. But yeah, I mean, Buffalo, I think, reminds me a little bit of the Chiefs, where they're not necessarily going to blow out teams when they should be blowing them out, but they have Josh Allen and they'll find a way to win in most scenarios.
Yeah, I was a little surprised they didn't run this one up, especially in Buffalo. Like you mentioned, the Dolphins in cold weather didn't seem to affect them that much, so maybe they've improved in that aspect. But yeah, I'm starting to gain a little bit of trust back in the Dolphins. We'll see what they can do. Next one, Bengals Raiders. We can kind of hem-haw this one. The Raiders just completely gutless team right now.
Yeah.
Got rid of all their offensive coaches, the quarterback coach, the offensive line coach, the offensive coordinator. It's going to be a new coaching staff moving forward. I think it's still not really much is going to change. You don't have a quarterback on that roster. I mean, you're subbing out Gardner Minshew for Desmond Ridder. Like, what are we doing? That's just, come on. This is just really not going anywhere. Jacoby Myers is their best offensive weapon. Bengals are in must-win now mode. They've been in that since like week 3. So this one wasn't really surprising to any of us. I think we all took the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
What is this comment? Oh my God, more none. All right. Anyways, Chargers Browns. If you want to run this one down.
Yeah, I mean, I had the Chargers from the get-go. I'm not a Jameis Winston guy. He had that one first start coming back, that kind of aura of, sure, we're replacing our quarterback with that toxic person, Deshaun, and then all of a sudden they come back to reality. I think this Chargers team's a good team, but they're not talented enough yet. They'll beat the teams that they should, and they'll probably lose to teams that they should lose to. So I like them in close matchups with teams that are struggling and towards the bottom of their divisions. So that was a pretty much lock for me this past weekend.
Yeah, same. Browns come back down to earth. Jameis has a Jameis game. I think he had 3 picks. Chargers just able to kind of control the pace of the game, win this one pretty easily. Now we can talk some Giants, I guess. Commanders, Giants. I had the over on this one. It was kind of a sweat at the end. Commanders end up covering, and with the over, Giants are continue to be that team that can kind of play teams close when they want to, but haven't really put out the winning efforts to make the full step forward. Commanders are 7-2. It's like a crazy world we're living in. That's really been the biggest surprise of the season so far. I think Dan Quinn's number 1 for coach of the year right now.
I think it does have a lot to do with their schedule too. I mean, being last in your division and getting a quarterback who's coming into a relatively solid system. Like, a lot of their players are returning players. Like, it's not a completely new offense. It's just the new quarterback at the helm. And he's playing obviously extremely well, and they're playing teams like the Giants. But I mean, I think that score reflects more of the divisional game as opposed to one team being a lot better than the other. I like the Skins team moving forward, but at the same time, kind of similar to even though they played the Ravens close, I think they're going to lose to those teams that have already established themselves as Super Bowl contenders.
Okay, so now we can go to this Daniel Jones question. Okay, real thoughts on Daniel Jones and what's the path to success for the Giants if we did move on from him? I have horrible news for you. Daniel Jones is not going to be a Giant next year. I think the path of success for the Giants is you either do the bridge method where you go out and maybe sign like a Sam Darnold. You can get a high-end bridge like him, or you can get a low-end guy do what the Pats do with Brissett, but that didn't really work out well. I mean, the Giants inherently have a better offensive line, better weapons already with Neighbors. So it really depends on whether they have a good enough pick to take their guy in this draft, or they want to wait till next draft and get Arch Manning and whoever else is coming out next year. I think that's stupid to wait personally, but I mean, you can always try this year, maybe grab a guy in the second, grab a guy in the first. I don't know who the guys are besides Shadur at the top right now. Seems like
they
Shadur's
reek of a team that, but I'm not a Shadur guy. They reek of a team that'll draft Shadur or Cam Ward, and then they end up being terrible for the next couple years after that. I don't know. I think they kind of have to move away from drafting a quarterback and maybe, like you said, go with that bridge guy until they're very confident and have a pick where they can draft more of a franchise quarterback as to someone that's a lot more inconsistent even at the college level. I don't really – I agree with you. I can't see Daniel Jones being there again next year.
Who's the top quarterback in this year's class? I think it's Shadur Sanders right now. He's putting up pretty good numbers with Travis Hunter. Colorado's been better than expected, but none of them are really standing out on paper to me right now. Who will the Pats take at one pick? I'm not really worried about it right now. We're trying to win football games, trying to improve on last year. That's a talk for in a couple months. Jaden is the next RG3. I don't think so. I think he's more Lamar. I think he's shown that he can kind of avoid injury. He did have that one scare, but he played and was fine. If that was RG3 would have played and then got re-hurt, I think. I'm starting to like Ward, but he could be a work in progress. I mean, look, is Anthony Richardson a good comp for that? It could be time. I think the quarterback clock, unfortunately, in the NFL is just so fast right now that if you don't play well in 7 games, you're a bench. So I don't know. I don't know if the Giants are ready to do that, especially if the way their past 2 seasons have gone. Definitely need to develop him. Yes, you would need to. So now on to one of our biggest fans of this show's favorite teams.
Mr. Areola.
If he's in the chat, he's waiting for this moment. So I don't
know if I didn't tell him what time that we were going to be on, but I was not boots on the ground. Neither was he. I was watching this game along with the Pats just because that was the only game I could get on the PS4. But yeah, I mean, Panthers come out with a win. I mean, it's a gross divisional matchup. Both teams are towards probably going to be battling for the number 1 pick. So kind of a disgusting game to watch. Not sure if you caught any of it, but I mean, I don't have faith in either of these teams going forward.
Yeah, Saints have really been a disappointment. I thought this would be a good get-back spot for them. 7-point favorites, cover at home against no, this wasn't at home. It was in Carolina. But I feel like this would be a spot where they can kind of be like, Derek Carr's back. Everything's back together. Turns out complete opposite. Dennis Allen is gone as head coach. I can never be mad at a Bryce Young win. So respect for that. For Bryce is my guy. I'm still waiting on him to pop out and get what he deserves, a chance in this league. So I wasn't mad at that. I mean, the Saints are just really like the amount of overhyping everyone did in the first 2 weeks is just laughable at this point, that they haven't even won a game since then. Now they're losing to maybe the worst team in the NFL, probably the worst team in the NFL, at least bottom 2 or 3. So good for the Panthers for getting a win. That helps, a lot of people who have 2-win teams right now we're looking at that draft order. I mean, we don't want to be there. I just said that, but a win like this is something that goes a long way. So good win for the Panthers. This game didn't really mean much, but fuck it. Why not? Want a May type guy, but there isn't a guy in this class. Yeah, I just said that. I think
Ewers, I mean, he's a little bit different than May, but I feel like he's probably the most consistent coming out of the class if you want to go that route. But even him, there's still question marks there, but
about to go for a schwitz, but great show, McGann. Thank you. Come back every week. We're live taking your comments, as you just put 15 comments, responded to all of them. And I don't know your co-host's name. That's Cam. Nice.
Greg kind of stunk in the beginning, but he might have won me over towards the end. We'll see. If he's a returning guest, it depends on his comments going forward.
Luckily, we have been rejoined by a man who is late from cooking dinner and being in the YouTube chat asking about the election. Let me on, of course. Here you are.
I didn't hear your answer about the election. Can we rehash it all or no?
I said I really do think it's a coin flip. I think if you really want me to give my prediction, I think Trump's going to win, but that would be my guess right now, but haven't really studied the body grounds or whatever. It seems like every day everything changes on Twitter, so that's all I know. So I really don't have a comment on that.
Twitter. All I know is
kids got the
Trump's hanging out with Elon as we speak. So
X. Sorry, it's X.
Sorry.
Can we get the Jets jersey with his
Yeah.
little take? There we
74.
go. 74. Nick Mangold.
Oh yeah.
Wow, what a jersey! What did you?
Respect.
We were waiting on you to come on to get your thoughts on the game from Thursday night.
Wait. So we've gone over every 1 o'clock game. Anything you want to say about that? Well, first of all, what games did you even watch this week? Did you watch them all?
The Jets.
Thursday, Monday,
Probably.
baby.
What?
Thursday and Monday.
All right, great. That's actually perfect. So before we have some comments to clean up quickly. Co-host is better than McGann. Cam is better, of course. God forbid the person you're in here watching for is better than anybody. We have Brett M going to vote for his 3rd time today.
Blue heart, bro.
So let's cut it back because we were going to wait on your comment for the Jets, but unfortunately that was the first game we covered, so we went over it quickly. I mean, you can listen to our thoughts back if you walk this back, so it's probably better that you don't have anything that we said. But what was your takeaway from this game? You know, hopeful Jets fan, this probably got you all jazzed up on Halloween.
Yeah, it was. We had 3 visitors on Halloween night. We had 3 people to give candy to, so we got a lot of leftovers, but that's okay. Yeah, game was terrible until it wasn't. Penalties were definitely a big talking point. They got a roughing the kicker and they got a roughing the punter on like 4th and 25, and they got something else on special teams that gave the Texans the first down. But I mean, in the second half, you saw why the Jets traded for Devontae Adams, and you saw why they traded for Aaron Rodgers. He was electric. They had 3 drives other than the one where they took a knee at the end of the game, and they scored touchdowns on all 3 drives. Hassan Reddick had like 8 or 10 pressures or something like that in the game. Both of you picked the Texans, which was
I knew it's like as soon as I picked against the Jets, of course they were just easily going to win. Like that was the lock of the year.
This was a big time lock. But yeah, I mean, 3-6 isn't great. They got two games and then the bye. Hopefully getting there 5-6 at the bye. Run the table is an option. They play for the rest of the year. They have 1 game against a team with a winning record, and that's the Bills. And they usually play the Bills tight. So
nice.
I think you just pulled a Mark stat because doesn't the team they're playing this week have a winning record?
Nope, the Cardinals are 4-4.
All right, the more you know.
Yeah, no, that's right. Mikey's on it. He's done some research for this pod. I like
Come
it.
on, Dub.
I lied. We do have one more 1 o'clock game. You know, one of my picks was Broncos plus 9.5 on the Focus 5. This was just a bad spot. I mean, I got to start looking at these narratives because, wow, how did I miss this one? This was just awful. Henry scored, 2 or 3 times in Baltimore territory after that embarrassing loss they had the week before. And this is really just cut and dry. The Broncos seem to be another one of those teams that just you can't trust to do anything. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I was looking at my picks for this week. I was looking back at the Broncos' schedule this year so far, and they've beat up on horrible teams and lost big to good teams. So, yeah, I mean, going forward, you just have to look at who they're playing, I guess. But the Ravens are still a wagon. Derrick Henry, I love how all the talk about Derrick Henry is not like how good he is on the Ravens. It's how the Cowboys didn't get him in free agency.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also was watching this game. I also took the Broncos, and after I also did some research like Mikey. We were talking about it earlier before you joined, Mike, but they remind me a lot of the Chargers in the sense where they'll beat the teams that they should beat, and then they'll probably lose to the teams that they aren't as good as. I think Bo Nix definitely is a bright spot on this team, and I think him and Sean Payton could do things like later on past this year. But for now, I just think like their defense is good, but on the offensive side of the ball, they have a lot to work on. So kind of depends, like you said, on the competition, who they're playing week to week, betting wise. Yeah, but like Dub said, that was kind of a regretful pick looking at everything Baltimore at home. And they've just been relatively dominant the majority of the year. So that's a L on my part.
Quickly, Mikey, just to brief you, you won last week 11-4. You had 3 more wins than Cam, then 4 more wins than me. So on the year, you're at 57%, which is the lowest. I'm at 58%. Cam's at 60. So we're all in the positive, all around 60%. That's a gambler's dream. So we're all doing well. Let's keep the picks moving. We're going to wrap up this week 9. So Eagles-Jags felt like a game the Eagles tried to give away at the end. Jags seem to be a team that can hang in there and cover for you. A.J. Brown took him to score any time before the game. Goes out with a knee injury like right away. I'm not sure. I think he's day-to-day coming into this week. But kind of what we'd expected from this game. So anything that really stood out besides that, besides the usual?
I think I've mentioned it prior in previous podcasts, but Eagles are going to kind of not the same level of the Chiefs, but they'll find a way to make it a close game. They're not really a spread betting team, but they can also win the majority of games that they play. They definitely, if they want to make a run in the postseason, have to figure out their inconsistencies and playing to their competition. But Saquon touchdowns is kind of almost of a lock compared to Henry as a touchdown too. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of my thoughts. Not really too high on the Jags either. That was kind of just like the Eagles letting them back in garbage time. But
yeah. All the discourse I've been hearing about the Eagles is just that Sirianni is just gonna
he's a baboon
back in the game because of going for it on 4th down or all sorts of random stuff. Like the same thing that makes the Lions good is like hurting the Eagles. But I mean, the Eagles are never gonna blow out a team no matter how bad they are. So.
Except 2 weeks ago when they blew out the Bengals. All right, now we'll head to Now we'll head to Arizona, where this annoying ass Cardinals team continues to be just a thorn in my side, dude. They went 29-9. Bears look inept on offense again. I thought it'd be a get back spot for the Bears coming off that tough Hail Mary loss. Eberflus just proves to be another schmo in the NFL. It doesn't really move the needle for me. I think he's got to be gone if the Bears want to realize actual success. I got to give credit to the Cardinals. They're leading the NFC West right now. A lot of people doubted them. A lot of people before the season would put them in that bottom tier of teams, and they've really won some games that they really didn't have business winning. And I don't know if this is one of them because the Bears are kind of just the Bears, but I'm starting to keep an eye on the Cardinals moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bears was I had them in a parlay for my Focus 5. I really liked them coming in this week, as you mentioned, especially coming off the Hail Mary. Seemed like they were due. And I've been huge anti-Cardinals ever since I've joined the Dubcast. They're just a team that I don't like touching. They're very inconsistent. But yeah, I mean, they kind of dominated that entire game. They looked pretty good, but also I don't really know what this Bears team is either. So also you mentioned they're top of the NFC West. That's probably the second worst division in football behind the NFC South. So I'm not exactly sure, if they make the playoffs, what they're going to – I think they get absolutely blown out by a wild card team if they have even home field advantage winning that division. But, that was kind of a tough pick, one of the toughest picks of the week, I think, for all of us. But, yeah, unfortunately, I lost that one against the spread last week.
Yeah, I think the spread was 1 or maybe 2, maybe 1.
It was pick 'em. Yeah, it was 1.
Yeah.
Definitely on Eberflus watch. They play the Pats this week, right?
Correct.
They do in Chicago.
Definitely, if they lose that game, he definitely could be gone. We've already had 2 firings of coaches this year, and there's a couple teams that could be on coach watch in the next 2 weeks.
It reeks of that Saints-Panthers game that Saints ended up losing, and then they fired their head coach. But
we'll talk about that game coming up. So we'll move to the Lions and the Packers. This was I was listening back to the podcast today. You guys were talking about how this was going to be an amazing game. It had its moments, but yeah, did not see the weather report, or else I would not have taken the over. So as soon as I saw it was raining, I was like, that bet is dead. But I think the Lions jumped out pretty fast, right? They're up 3 scores, and then
I think they're up 21-3.
Packers kind of had a couple of touchdowns to make it close, but this Lions team, man, I almost did it. I almost placed them to win the Super Bowl, but then they went down 100 points, so I didn't do it. I'm going to place it the next time they lose. But I like this Lions team. I think my new Super Bowl prediction right now is Lions-Ravens. The Lions feel like are inevitable. They can beat anyone at any time, anywhere. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this team. I mean, this Packers squad is pretty game, too. They've done their best part to win games and be at the top of the division as well, and the top of the NFC race. So really impressed by the Lions in this game. Rain doesn't matter. In Green Bay doesn't matter. They get the job done. So what were your guys' takes from this one?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Packers last week. I kind of like this game for the Packers moving forward. Jordan Love was apparently hurt. There was one play where he couldn't even move up the field to spike the ball towards the end of the first half. But I like when a team that I pick to win loses in the regular season. I just kind of makes it seem like that they're due later in the season. I don't know, but I think both teams are going to make a decent run later on in the year. But like you said, this Lions team is very difficult to bet against. They look pretty much dominant on both sides of the ball. And they also lost their probably best, if not like one of their best defenders in the first quarter. And they still ended up pretty much dominating the Packers, even though they came back and scored in some garbage time situations. But I mean, both these teams are good teams. Wasn't as good of a matchup as we thought, mainly, I think, due because of weather and then the Jordan Love injury. But those are my takeaways.
Yeah, the amount of times they showed Malik Willis on the sideline warming up. Just
That
for
was
him to
absurd.
not come in, I was like, I kept thinking he was going to come in. But Michael, you have anything else to add for this one?
Not really. The Lions got Zadarius Smith today, so
They did. Yeah,
that's a good thing for them. That's all.
Okay, definitely something to watch moving forward with the Hutchinson injury. Next one, Rams Seahawks. This was probably the game of the day. Anyone want to jump this one out or jump off on this one?
I watched this game. This was my second least favorite game to pick behind the Bears and Cardinals. I picked the Seahawks at home, dogs, ended up losing an OT. But, I mean, I don't like any of these teams betting-wise moving forward. The NFC West is just so difficult to bet on. Like I said, probably second worst division in football. You never know what you're going to get from them week to week. So those are my kind of takeaways. Nothing really jumping out at me.
Michael?
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Did Puga get hurt in this game?
No, he got
Oh, he
ejected.
got tossed. He got tossed. Yeah, that's what it was.
My Rams playoff bet every week looking a little bit better and better. I was on the wrong side of this one, though. Seahawks, I'm done with them. What?
Should have doubled down.
Yeah, I should have. Seahawks, I'm kind of done with them. I'm kind of out on their team. They just seem like they're the same team from last year, kind of middle of the pack, maybe 7-8 wins and not going to make the playoffs. Sunday Night Football, we head to Minnesota. Caught the second half of this one. Vikings defense shows up again against Flacco. I think either all of us or two or three of us mentioned that there's film now on Flacco. It's going to be tough with the Brian Flores defense. It was. Colts really couldn't move the ball at all. Seemingly Taylor was back. I think he's been back a couple weeks, but if not, they have everyone on offense. Just the Vikings did what they do best in Minnesota. So not really much I'm taking away from this one.
Yeah, I like this Vikings team. I think they beat up on opponents that they're significantly better than. And I also like Darnold's consistency on a team that can actually win football games as opposed to the previous teams he's been on. I don't like this Colts team. I mentioned it last week. Flip-flopping quarterbacks definitely I don't think is good for the locker room. I think you got to make a decision for the rest of the year whether you're going Flacco or Richardson and then kind of live with that decision and keep it relatively consistent. I think Flacco is better for this team in the short term, but obviously you want to see Richardson develop into their franchise guy moving forward. So I don't know if we all took the Vikings on this, but this was a win for me. Kind of a no sweat, it seemed like, but not sure if Mikey caught any of this game.
Nope, did not.
Yeah, I think we all took the Vikings.
Though. It was Colts 13, but I'm pretty sure I said that Joe Flacco would not be able to handle the Vikings their pass rush, and from what it seems like he wasn't. I don't think they had a red zone play for their offense. But I mean, the Vikings are a good team coming off. They lost last week, so it was a get back. Yeah. 2 in a row they lost, so yeah.
Correct score, 21-13, just before we move on. So Monday Night Football, Chiefs-Bucks. I caught probably the last quarter of this game was doing a little college basketball watching my man, Mr. Based.
Oh, is he gone?
Anyways, this was a good one. Bucks kept it close. The 9 was, or I think it was either 8.5 or 9. It closed at. Bucks seemed to be a good team to when they're on the. They had that one game against the Ravens where everyone got hurt and they couldn't cover the 3.5. But I trust the Bucks in spots like these where they kind of are slept on by America. By Vegas to have a big spread. Kansas City, thought maybe this would be the one they lose, but, hoping there's a loss at some point. They have more or less games than they do have games that they already played. Season's more than halfway over. Hopefully they don't get to 16-0. Hopefully they don't get to 19-0, but it could happen, and we're just all wasting our time trying to do all these picks when they're just going to win the Super Bowl again. But we'll see. I think there's weaknesses exposed. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I'm sports. I'm just like, Dodgers are going to win every year. Chiefs are going to win every year. Celtics are going to win every year. What are we doing watching? Let's just watch college sports where there's like actual parity. But I'm definitely a pessimist in that aspect. So someone tell me something good about the Bucks. I don't know.
I like the Bucks in this game. I took them at the +9. I think Baker kind of is getting slept on a lot for his performances, especially without his two best weapons. They were in this game. They almost won. Obviously, the game going in OT. Chiefs scrape away, as I mentioned. Very different than the Eagles, but like they're difficult to bet with the spread because their spreads are often so high, and they're just like, but they end up winning every game. So it's kind of difficult to bet against the spread on them, but at the same time, it's like, when's the last time they've really blown out a team other than, I think it was the Saints. As Dub mentioned, I thought this might have been the game where the Bucks kind of take advantage Monday night. You never really know what's going to happen, but unfortunately they don't pull it out. But I mean, like I said, this Chiefs teams, they don't have a lot of weaknesses exposed. It's more just, I think, playing to the competition, but at the same time, when it comes to crunch time, Patty's going to figure it out and ends up getting a win. Just what happened on Monday night. So.
Michael, one of the only games you watched this week?
Yeah. Big takeaways. I think D-Hop looked electric for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. Patrick breaking his ankle and then carrying him off the field and then him coming back in for the next drive was such a soft move.
I forgot that had happened.
It was so bad. And then for the Bucks, I think Baker did look good. He was finding Sterling Shepard a lot. He made some great catches. I think it was raining during that game too, and some of those catches he was making were very good. And like they had that nice, they tied it up with 30 seconds left, and that was a great led drive by Baker. It gives me a lot of confidence with this team going forward. So yeah. Chiefs, I don't think are going to lose. If they lose, it's going to be this week against the Bills, but
that's not this week.
Yeah, it is. Next week?
I don't think so. Next week, I think the Chiefs are on bye this week. Or no, they're playing the Broncos this week.
Oh yeah, the week after.
Anyways, fantasy segment of the week. Baker Mayfield is your quarterback too in fantasy, so there you go.
Yeah, I think he's leading the league in touchdown passes, perhaps.
Might try and trade for him in one of my leagues. All right, fantasy segment over. Moving on to week 10. We have a very ugly slate that, they're just getting uglier and uglier. So let's dive right in. We have Thursday night football between the Bengals and the Ravens. Bengals on the road, both coming off big wins over inferior. That's what I'm looking for. Inferior opponents. They give Ravens 6. They don't give them 7. They don't give them 6.5. So Michael, we'll start with you. What is your pick for this game, Bengals at Ravens?
I think this is a game that the Ravens exploit the Bengals defense. They haven't been good. I think they were good last week. What's his face had four sacks. But this Ravens offense is a juggernaut. I think they win by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, that -6 is tough, honestly. But I'm going to do what I did last week. Probably shouldn't, but I'm going to go with the Bengals +6. I think this AFC North matchup, especially when the Bengals are kind of trying to prove it. I know they've had, I think it's back-to-back wins when they've needed them. This will kind of put them back on the map as a playoff team and a team that can do something. But like Mikey said, their defense has been struggling all year, and this Ravens offense has been a wagon. So I think it's going to be a decent game. I think it's also that Thursday night curse where it might be a little bit more lower scoring. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, I probably shouldn't be doing it, but I'm going to take the Bengals +6 against a divisional opponent.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals as well. I think Thursday night, it's the primetime games I'm noticing are the games that end up being closer and coming down to more of
One score. Yeah.
yeah. I could see the Ravens winning this game by 3 or 4 points. I just think the Bengals, their season's on the line every week. They need to win every week. Ravens kind of just had that big win they're coming off of, so short week may not be all mentally ready. I don't know. I'm thinking back to Thursday Night Football last week, the week when Burrow got hurt. They were mostly in that game, I think, unless I'm misremembering. But kind of a similar situation here. Bengals really need to win this game, and the Ravens with 6 points. I don't know what version of the Ravens we're going to get on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, they're one of the best 3 or 4 teams, or even top. Maybe I think 3 is the limit, but one of the top 3 teams in the NFL when they're on. But I just don't know what version is going to show up. So I'm going to take the Bengals +6. I think the dogs are still going to come out one of these weeks. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're ready to come out yet, but it's week 10. Let's go. Underdogs. Let's go. Let's start covering some spreads. So I'm taking the Bengals +6. I think worst case scenario, they lose the game by like 4 or 5 or something. Cover that 6. I think 6 is a pretty big cushion for them. So like that one. Now we head to Germany. Yay.
Some say that watching this game is a greater punishment than whatever the accords they had to sign after World War II. Yeah.
Cam, will you be waking up to watch this one with your Irish coffees?
I will. Maybe not an Irish coffee, but I mean, you might want to clip this because it's probably going to be the only time I'm going to take the Panthers with the spread. +6. Neutral site game. As much as it pains me to take them, maybe they ride a high of Bryce Young with a win. It's also this Giants team. 6 points seems like a lot. I don't know. I think the Panthers can show a little bit of life, and maybe I think they might lose, but I don't think. But it's basically a touchdown game, even though it's 6, not 7. But I can't see this Giants team winning by more than 7 points. So I'm gonna go with the Panthers. Maybe Bryce Young can turn it on. We'll see. Maybe it's a get right spot for him, but. Yeah.
Mikey, we'll go to you next.
I'm also taking the Panthers. I think that they might rattle off a few wins. They're obviously not a good football team, but they are on the same trajectory as the Jets were 4 years ago in Adam Gase's first year. They are like 1-7, and then they just find a way to go like 7-2 and miss the playoffs, but have a terrible pick. That seems like a very Panthers thing to do. So
that would be hilarious, actually. Yeah,
I'm gonna take them like a couple times in the next couple weeks, depending on how these games go. But yeah, the Giants are bad. Panthers are bad. Someone's got to win this game. I think it's gonna be the Panthers.
I'm taking the Giants. The spread's ballooning up towards the Giants. I think the sharps are on the Giants. I just think the Panthers coming off that win last week. There's really a lot of questions about Daniel Jones. It seems like every week could be the week that they finally pull the plug on him. They need him healthy next year in order for them to avoid his contract. So I think he's going to have one of those games where he throws 3 touchdowns and they look good. I think the 6, Panthers, I don't know. I just don't trust the Panthers at all, especially coming off that win that, they don't really are having less and less to play for. The more they win, I feel like, I don't know, just because they want to, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
That's my least favorite game to bet on. Probably.
Yeah, this is just an ugly game, but I'm taking the Giants. I think they can win this one by a touchdown, maybe even like a 17-7. It's just an ugly game. Even if it gets higher scoring, I just trust the Giants offense more than I trust the Panthers. I think Jonathan Brooks is back for the Panthers. Not sure how much that'll change since Chuba Hubbard's been apparently good that I've just missed, but I like the Giants in this one. Cover the spread. We'll do it in London. I feel like the London games have all been pretty not close.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pats.
This is in Germany, so we'll see. Maybe a little different.
Same, whatever. We'll see what happens. I did miss a comment earlier on, so don't want to miss any comments from our guy, Brett M. He says K-Dot and franchise tag. Now, this is a crazy concept once you first look at it, but I believe the tight end franchise tag is a little bit less than a lot of other franchise tags. This is some Madden knowledge.
Madden knowledge.
I don't hate it, but I feel like they could get him on a way better. Like they could probably just get him on like a 3-year, like less than the franchise. I don't feel like he's not. I feel like they're gonna have bigger priorities than to franchise tag him. But I think they can re-sign him on a team-friendly deal or even a little bit friendly towards Cade. I think that's worth it. He looks pretty good. All right.
No additional thoughts. Yeah.
Word. Heading to 1 p.m., we have our home team, Patriots. They head to Chicago. This is a tough one. Bears -6, another 6 on the board. I'll start this one out. Usually I like to take the Patriots if I think they have a chance of covering this. I can't see it with this one. The Bears have had 2 letdown losses in a row. Granted, the Pats just had a letdown loss last week as well. But I just haven't seen enough from this offensive line to say they're going to stick in this game. And with the running game, they're going to really need to do something because, the Bears have had a somewhat solid defense. We saw them shut down rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels 2 weeks ago to only score 15 or 17 points, whatever it was. Drake, I worry about him running so much. It really needs to slow down with the running or he's going to get hurt again. But Ramondre can't move the ball, so it's kind of like a weird dichotomy of that happening. And also there's no weapons in the Pats besides Hunter Henry. So I'm trusting the Bears to figure this one out. They've lost 2 straight. They need this one if they're going to keep up with the NFC North and the NFC playoff race. So, Michael, do you agree with this one, or are you taking the Pats in the 6?
Trusting the Bears to figure it out is a bold thought.
All right, I'll trust fucking Alex Van Pelt.
I'm going to trust Alex Van Pelt, take the Patriots here. I think mostly because I think Eberflus is done. After this week, it's the same thing as the Saints last week. Lose to an inferior team. Season's on the line for them, but not also really. I don't think that their plans this year were to make the playoffs. And I think having the second half of the year without Eberflus would be good for their offense, good for their team, their culture, that sort of thing. A lot of weird things are happening with Stevenson, man, this week. But yeah.
Which Stevenson? Tyreek Stevenson or Ramondre?
Yeah, Tyreek. He walked out of practice or something after he found out he was benched, and a lot of weird things happening in Chicago. But yeah, I'm taking the Patriots.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say, when it comes to the Patriots, I definitely bet with my heart and not my head. But it's also, like I mentioned earlier, and Mikey just talked about it, reeks of that same Saints kind of Panthers aura game where, hey, if you lose this game, you're probably done. And I completely agree with Mikey. I think it might be better for the Bears to bring in a new head coach, even if they have an interim for the end of the season, and then they just start fresh completely. Even though Caleb will have 1 year under his belt, he can have a more seasoned head coach. One of my Bears friends loves Vrabel coming in there. I just don't see that happening, but I can see them getting a more established head coach as opposed to Eberflus, who's obviously been struggling since he's been there. But like I said, just going with the Pats +6. I don't know if you'll ever catch me betting against them, at least on the Dubcast.
It feels like every time you guys both pick the Pats and I pick the other one, I win, but we'll see what happens this week. Comments from the crowd. Brett M says fade Colin. Sure, why not? I'm the middleman. I got the second best record, only beating on Mikey by 1%, and I hate the NFL betting now, so it might be the play. Alex Van Pelt is an okay OC. Depends on your definition of okay, but I would mostly agree with that statement, or mostly disagree with that statement. Moving forward, we have the Bills heading to Indy. 2 weird ones in a row here with the 4s. Colts +4 at home. Cam, what is your takeaway or your take?
This is one of my favorite games to bet. I don't know why the hell this spreads at 4. Give me the Bills, even though they're on the road. Don't have faith in this Colts team. As I mentioned, flip-flopping back and forth, even if they do stick with Flacco. This week, I think the Bills I think it's a get-right spot for them, kind of blowing them out, especially after a close game against the Dolphins. We'll talk about that in my Focus 5 later as well, but I love the Bills -4.
Michael?
Yep, I'm with you there. I think this could be 6.5, probably.
Yeah.
I
just don't understand. Is there an injury that I'm missing? Why are the Bills that's the same spread as the Giants-Panthers game is a better spread. How is that possible? I don't know. Just doesn't make sense.
I think the Colts play well at home. I think it has a lot to do with it, but the Bills are just an overall better team. I think the Colts, if they're able to, it's a weird thing because Joe Flacco has been a good quarterback for the past 2 years. And if he has a bad game, you'll know in the first quarter whether or not it's going to be a bad game for him or it's going to be a good game. So probably after the first quarter, you'll know if you're going to win this bet or not, but I'm going to take the Bills here.
I'm trusting Vegas. I'm taking the Colts +4. I don't know. I think I found this one really interesting, and I started doing like mental imaging. I think if this game gets high scoring, I think the Colts are going to stay in it. I mean, we've seen them keep up with teams in the high scoring range. Granted, last week they didn't, but that was against the Vikings team that, if the Vikings didn't have one of the best defenses in the NFL, I think the Colts would be in that game as well. I don't think the Bills have that level of defense. So I think the Colts with Flacco under the helm, things are more smoother this week. We know what we have. It's at home too. Like Mikey mentioned, they do play better at home. I just am envisioning this being at the 1:00 slate and being like the game of the day where it's like back and forth and it comes down to a game-winning field goal, maybe for the Bills if they are going to win this game. I just think the 4 by Vegas is telling us something. So I'm taking the Colts and all the options that come with the +4 and the points. So not loving it, but I could see a Bills loss here and there. They are the type of team to drop one that's unexpected. They aren't really the wagon that like the Lions are, where they just can cover the spread every week. So I do like the Colts to cover this one +4. Move to another one that's +4.
Is Von Miller back this week?
I don't know. It's a good question. I always forget about him.
He had a 4 or 6 game suspension, so he might be back this week. I'm not sure.
We head to Jacksonville, where the Jags are 4-point underdogs as well at home. They welcome the Minnesota Vikings. So I'll start this one out. I'm taking the Vikings in this one. I'm switching to the favorite on the road here. I think the Vikings, the Jags, yes, they can keep up with teams like the Eagles, but the Vikings aren't really a team that can be like you're either going to beat the Vikings or you're going to lose by a couple scores, in my opinion. It just doesn't seem like they're the type of team that would play close against the Jaguars. So I'm taking 4. I like what I saw from the Vikings last week. They got Addison involved in a touchdown. That kid Naylor seemingly has been kind of involved in the offense. You have Hawkinson on his way back. Aaron Jones has been a good addition. Justin Jefferson, and the Jags are dealing with all types of injuries. So I just don't trust the Jags in this spot. Yes, Vegas is saying a message in this one as well, but I'm flipping on them for this one. So, Michael, do you agree, or are you taking the Jags at home?
Yep, I'm with you. Vikings are probably a top 6 team in the league, and I would think that the Jaguars are probably a bottom 6, bottom 8 team in the league. And I mean, you said it, they have injuries, all that good stuff. They don't really have a lot of weapons on the outside, and the Vikings are a great defense. I don't think that Trevor will have a great game. 4 is like a scary number though, because the Jaguars do play close games. They can be high scoring. But I think it will come down to maybe a few turnovers from Trev, but yeah, I'm taking the Vikings.
You guys kind of hit the nail on the head. I don't really have much to add. I'm going with the Vikings -4 based off the same watch against the Bills. Don't really understand why this spread. I know both teams are on the road, but 4 just seems like way too low of a number for teams that are far superior than their opponent. I'll talk about that later in my Focus 5 as well. But I mean, I love the Vikings here at -4.
I'm telling you, dude, one of these weeks Vegas is going to sneak up on you and get you. Question from the chat: what you got there, Berg? I'm assuming he's referring to the wine bottle we keep seeing.
Yeah, this podcast is sponsored by the Three Wishes wine, $3 at Whole Foods. So this is only bottle number 1. I'm sure bottle number 2 will make its appearance relatively soon. But shout out to our sponsor, Three Wishes.
Okay, hopefully you got the email and all the contact details for that, because I've not heard anything about a sponsorship deal, but we'll keep it moving. We have our reigning Super Bowl champions, 2-time Super Bowl champions, welcoming another AFC West opponent into their home. The Broncos this time, they get 8 points. So on the road last week, 9.5. This week, 8 in Kansas City. So Cam, we'll jump back to you. What is your take from this game? Are you trusting the Broncos again, or are you taking the Chiefs to smash?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going back to that same pattern as last week. I think this game is a little bit different, though. I'm taking the Broncos +8. It's a divisional opponent, which I like to factor into a lot of the games that I bet on. I think they're typically closer. And we've also talked about how the Kansas City Chiefs can't really blow out a team. At least they haven't so far, other than the Saints that we previously mentioned. I like the Broncos +8. I just think after getting blown out, they're going to make it a much tighter game, especially against a divisional opponent, even though it is against the 2-time defending champs. So going Denver +8.
Michael, you infamously have followed the rule, don't bet against the Chiefs to a T. I forget if you took the Bucs last week with the big point spread, but will you be following through with your rule or taking the Broncos and the 8 points here?
The rules are rules for a reason.
Meant to be broken.
True. Taking the Chiefs. I said before, Broncos lose big against good teams and win big against bad teams. Chiefs are a top 2, maybe 3 team. They haven't blown out teams, which does give me pause, but I think they'll be able to do it this week. I think the Broncos record is inflated for how not great of a team they are. So I think they're due for a few losses. Chiefs are going to lose one. I don't think it'll be this week, though.
I'll break the tie. I'm also going with the Broncos and the points. Just with big spreads, I'm always going to flip on taking the plus. And if it's a decent team like the Broncos, especially like Cam mentioned, I like that divisional matchup ideology. I just can't trust the Chiefs. I mean, 8 points is just too many for me. If it was 7, I think I'd swap probably. But I don't know. The Chiefs, I feel like, are inevitable to lose. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but I just don't see them blowing the Broncos out. They haven't blown out anybody. And you keep saying the Saints blow out, but I think that game was only like 10 points. Really, there's no like big kind of, the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, true. But I don't know. I just think the Broncos can keep this close. I mean, we've seen sometimes they were able to, throughout the early weeks, at least, it seemed like they were able to keep it close with teams. And trust Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton's probably been scheming on how to stop Mahomes for a while. So I'm going to trust the Broncos in this one +8. I do believe these teams meet again in the last week of the season. So we'll see how this one develops. But I like the Broncos.
Maybe that'll be a Zach Wilson, Carson Wentz game. You never know.
Ooh.
Could be. Yeah, a little intrigue there. Or who's the other kid they have? Jared Stidham, who got disrespected. He should have been a starter at some point. But yeah, I'm taking the Broncos +8. We'll keep it moving to NOLA. We got the Falcons and the Saints here. I'll start this one out. It's ugly. It's disgusting. Head coaching buzz, though, or bump, and I don't trust the Falcons still. So I'm taking the Saints +3.5. I like the hook, 3.5 as well. We get the field goal cushion. Derek Carr, there's been a lot of things said in the media. Chris Olave on his hospital bed with texting his brother that he's okay, but also his brother just going on a tweet rampage. Michael Thomas took aim at Derek Carr as well this week. I think it's put up or shut up for Derek Carr. I mean, the question's always out there. Is he a good quarterback? He's always kind of on that middle tier with like the Kirks of the world, but he's never really been that guy besides that 2016 year. It's time to prove it, bro. Let's put something up this week. I don't know if Olave is going to play. According to ESPN Fantasy, it's not looking like he'll play, but they still have Kamara. They still have Taysom Hill played well last week. They have guys to get it done, and I think they can do this divisional matchup at home in the Dome. The Dome's a crazy place to play, so I'm trusting the Saints to cover it at least 3.5 and maybe outright win this game. What say you, Michael?
I say that you're wrong and that you're incorrect and that the Falcons will win this game by a lot because they're a better football team. I understand the coaching bump part of it. I think that only works when your team's not, or your season's not lost. They've lost 8 in a row now, I think 7 in a row, maybe. Yeah, the Falcons, they've looked better and better the whole year. Kirk had a rough, 1 or 2 games to start the year, but he's been pretty good, consistent since then. And I mean, they got weapons on offense. So Saints also just traded Marshawn Lattimore away. And I think Drake London should play. I think he was day to day.
Yeah, this is the Tuesday one, so we don't really have a lot of info at the time.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the Falcons.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that. I mean, I'm big on that divisional matchup being a close game. I just think there's too much of a gap here. I just see the Saints team kind of making a run for that number 1 pick, looking to get a quarterback, not really trying to. I mean, I think Derek Carr is probably out of there no matter what happens the rest of the year. But I think, as Mikey said, Falcons' offense is just more overpowering than the Saints, and especially with Olave out. Or most likely going to be out. It's kind of tough relying on Kamara and then a guy that kind of just plays any position who doesn't really have a featured role in the offense, in my opinion. I think he's just more of a distraction in order to take away from Kamara when he has caught the ball 5 times in a row. I just don't see any consistency on the Saints offense. And like Mikey said, they just lost their best defensive player. So I'm going to go with the Falcons -3.5.
All right. Well, head coaching boost. What was the other one? forgot what I was going to say. All right, we'll keep it moving. 49ers at Bucks plus 5.5. 49ers coming off a bye week, I believe, and the Bucks coming off that Monday night, short week for them. So, Cam, we'll cut back to you. What is your pick for this game?
I have a question actually. So I saw McCaffrey's back at practice. Is he expected to play, or is he still kind of in rehab and not really looking to hop in
I
this week?
believe the plan is to come back next week, but I could be
think
wrong.
Okay.
Shefty said he's back.
Yeah. Honestly, either way,
That was
I'm
way
probably
you though. He'll probably get like 15 plays, but
yeah. I mean, either way, honestly, even if he doesn't play, I kind of like the 5.5, even though I was just hyping up the Bucks in our previous segment. I just think that this 49ers team coming off a bye, this is also kind of a prove-it game for them. Like, they need to start winning games in order to make a run towards like a top seed in the playoffs, which I think everyone on that team is expecting to be. And hopefully they can kind of get right. I know they're kind of like littered with injuries right now. But I don't know. I think this is a good spot for them. The Bucks, like I said, losing their top two targets, even though Baker's been playing relatively well without them. I think there's going to be like a shining moment of like, hey, like this team can't compete with teams that might be in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to take the 49ers minus 5.5.
So Christian McCaffrey is playing. Just saw on the news or on the
Okay.
X platform. Well,
Watching
likely. No TVs around. I just looked up on X. Apparently, he's going to be activated this week. I'm having trouble with my pick now because I was going to pick the Bucks at home plus 5.5. But if McCaffrey's playing, fuck yeah, I'll still go with the Bucks. Home underdog 5.5. Feels like a pretty big number for them. Granted, what we just saw against the Chiefs dismantled the 49ers. So by the transitive property, I'm going to stick with the Bucks plus 5.5. Don't love it, but Baker is not one to just be put down and put away, seemingly, especially when he's underrated and counted out. I think the Bucks have to start winning games. Also, the 49ers do, as you guys mentioned before, but I think this one could be maybe like 49ers fall behind late, have a nice little game-winning drive with McCaffrey. I think somebody else will get in the end zone for the 49ers now that I put that into Focus 5, but that's probably mush now that McCaffrey's coming back, but we'll get to that when we get to it. I'm taking the Bucks plus 5.5. Just feels like a spot where they can cover the spread at least. I don't know, maybe lose by 4 or 3, something like that. So, Michael, break the tie here. Who do you got in this one?
I don't think I've agreed with you on any of our picks so far.
I went like this is my fuck it week because I'm done with this shit. Like it's 2 bad weeks in a row. I've been bad at UFC. I've been bad at NCAA. It's like
Host of a gambling podcast says fuck it.
I'm throwing shit at the wall, bro. It's like we'll see what happens. If I lose, I look like an idiot, but if I win, you guys look like idiots.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers. I remember saying it like after like maybe week 6 or maybe week 5. 49ers like are a below average football team for the first 6 weeks, and then after that they get her going.
Yeah.
After the bye, I think that helps, especially since the Bucks are coming off playing on Monday night.
Short week. Yeah.
I don't think it'll be like a blowout. I think the Bucks will stay in it, especially with CMC coming back. I think that they'll just be too much to handle. 5.5 at home's interesting, but if it was like 4.5, I'd be more comfortable with it, obviously. But I'm still taking the 49ers here.
Home dogs, man. Home dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of home dogs.
We'll keep it moving to what should be a very interesting game, the Steelers and the Commanders. Commanders at home, -3. Michael, we'll circle back to you on this one. What is your take on this one?
The Commanders get anyone in trade deadline day?
They did get somebody.
Yeah, Lattimore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just said that. That's big for them because their defense has let them down. Obviously not enough to lose more than 2 games, but I'm taking the Commanders here. Steelers seem a little bit fake. I think Russ doesn't cook anymore. I think that like his 2 good weeks are a little bit like a flash in the pan sort of deal. I think Commanders are a good football team. I think if it was at in Pittsburgh, I might pick the Steelers here, but being in DC, I'm taking the Commanders.
Cam, a
I,
notorious Steelers lover, what is your take?
yeah, I've actually been high on both of these teams. I feel like mainly the Skins. Skins are probably one of my more favorite teams to watch in the NFC, along with the Lions. But it's going to be one of the first times I think I've bet against or bet with the Skins on every single game. I'm actually going to go against them here. I really like the Steelers defense, and I actually think that the Skins are kind of due for a wake up call. I don't really know a 7-2 team that has been more I hate to say the word overrated, but they've just been playing consistently bad competition. And I don't think the Steelers team is bad competition. I think their defense is going to keep them in this game. I'm not a massive fan of Russell Wilson, but I'm kind of leaning. I don't know what it is, but it's just a feel thing. I'm going Steelers +3 on the road.
Yep. Give me another underdog. I'm taking the Steelers +3. I think this Commanders record is just way too bloated. I'm still waiting for them to have a little bit of a downfall, not to the point where they're going to miss the playoffs or anything, but I just feel like the Commanders as a 2-loss team is just insane. I'm not sure if they're ready. I looked at the teams they've played so far. I'm not sure if they're ready to play the Steelers defense, which I believe is top 5 in the league. And I trust Russ enough to get this done where, as underdogs, they can win this game by whatever amount of points. The under's probably going to be in play. I mean, you saw a grinded out game like the Commanders versus the Bears a couple weeks ago. I believe that was a 2 points difference there, even if the Commanders win. So I'm going with the Steelers and the points. I've been wrong on them before, and I'm ready to admit that I was wrong. I'm ready to jump ship and take the Steelers. And hopefully, Russ has a comeback and it's not just a flash in the pan like Mikey said. I think there's a little bit of harborment of resentment there from the Broncos days with the Nathaniel Hackett stuff, but we can maybe shelve that for another day. And also the game that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, but we'll move on. I think this one we don't really need to say much here. We can give explanations if we want, but I'll start it off. I'm taking the Chargers -7.5. Still don't love this Titans team. Yes, they beat the Patriots, but it's just like the Titans. I don't know the last time they covered a spread. Maybe against the Dolphins. That was the only time they covered a spread this whole year against Tyler Huntley in his first week, like 4 days off the practice squad and the Dolphins. So I'm taking the Chargers 7.5. I think as Cam's been saying, they beat the teams that they should. Just run the football. J.K. Dobbins, Herbert's honestly looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. So I like this Chargers team, what they got going on, and I don't like it all what the Titans got going on. So I'm taking the Chargers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this is definitely a massive wake-up call for the Titans. Probably riding high on a home overtime win against the Pats, who, as much as it pains me to say, are probably in the bottom tier of this league right now. Obviously, as they have zero supporting cast on offense. And I've also been hyping up the Chargers. Like I said, they beat up on the teams that they should, and then they probably lose to the teams that are just better and more talented than them. So I love the Chargers at -7.5 at home. I think the Titans get absolutely boat raced. Is there any news on what's going on at that quarterback situation after Rudolph won? Is it Levis coming back? Is it Rudolph sticking
every
with
week?
them?
It's just like, oh, Levis might play, he's injured, and it's like, oh no, we're actually
Yeah.
just gonna start Mason Rudolph.
Either way, honestly, I think they might be better off with Rudolph. Levis, I think, is absolute garbage. But I'm gonna, no matter what, taking the Chargers -7.5 on this one.
Yep.
Michael?
I'm also with you. Don't really have anything more to say. Chargers are just a better team. And also the Titans are banned, so yeah.
True. Just for the people out there, we've had some new seasons starting over again, so we have to update the banned list. The banned list is now down to 2 teams. We have the Missouri Tigers in NCAA football and the Tennessee Titans for NFL football. North Texas basketball has been released from their probation. They are now free to bet on again. And besides that, I think there may have been one or two more teams in there. They have been freed with the NBA season starting again. So hopefully we don't need to add any more teams to this ban list, but things happen.
Jets are almost banned.
Who?
Jets.
Yeah, they survived. So ban list down to 2 teams. It's a fresh start. Hopefully by the new year, the NFL season will be over. NCAA football will be over. We can get rid of the ban list, but that's where we stand right now. All right, so game of the week for some people in the room. We have Jets Cardinals. I don't know if I want to start with the man wearing a Jets jersey or end with him. Would you like to hear what everyone else has to say, or would you like to give your take first?
Yeah, I'd like to take it all in.
All right, so I made a promise 2 weeks ago that I'm done with the Jets. I mentioned before I'm liking what this Cardinals team putting out there. This is another pick'em where they're in a weird spot here. This is a very weird game, and I could easily see this going the other way. This is probably my least favorite game on the board, but I'm taking the Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals -1. Home field. Kyler's hot. We'll see if the Jets come back and have like figured things out and they can make plays with Devontae Adams and Garrett, and everything looks fluid, everything looks good, the defense looks good, then I'll switch back and start taking the Jets again. But to this point, I think beating up on a kind of not injured, but there are pieces missing Texans team on the road, at home, that win did do a lot, but not enough for me to take them in this game when they go on the road to the Arizona. So I'm taking the Cardinals. Cam?
I'm actually going the exact opposite. As much as it pains me to say, I love the Jets against the Cardinals team. They're one of my teams I hate betting against is the Cardinals, or betting for is the Cardinals. Very inconsistent, and it just reeks of like Aaron Rodgers playing teams that are not as good as him and finding a way to win. And I can see them going on a little bit of a run, maybe not making the playoffs, but I don't think that they're going to be towards the bottom tier of this league for the remainder of the season. And I think this is definitely like a good little bit of a run they go on here. Build off that win against the Texans. You got a long week since it was a Thursday night game. Even though it's on the road, definitely give me Aaron Rodgers and the Jets plus points.
Michael, will you be taking your home team or fading them?
Of course. This is a must-win. It's not a must-win, but there's like a slim chance that a 9-win team will make it in the AFC. So you probably have to get to 10 wins. And Cardinals coming off 3 wins against
seems that they do. I agree.
One good team. Dubs said it. I don't know when. Maybe the first week we were on, but you gotta bet on 4-game swings. If you have 3 in a row, you can't bet for the 4th win in a row. And I think the Jets found something in the second half of the game against the Texans. The defense looked a lot better. They were playing awful football since Ulbrich took over, but they played a lot better against the Texans. The only thing that worries me is Kyler's legs. They're historically terrible against rushing quarterbacks. I think the last time they played the Cardinals, Kyler broke one for like a 50-plus yard touchdown. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But it's a 4:00 game, first 4:00 game for the Jets this year. So I'll be excited to watch this one from Fort Myers, Florida.
Nice.
Weird flex, but okay. Have fun on vacation. Oh, is it the wedding this weekend? Harry, nice. Congratulations to Harry on his hopefully successful wedding. I'm sure we'll get a debrief session from you next week.
Mike, you'll get too bruised up and cause a scene. Don't worry.
There's an open bar, and it opens 3 hours before I have to give my toast. So
tough. That's gonna be tough.
Would you guys like to hear election updates, or just keep it strictly football? Because we do have 3 states called right now.
Are there any of them swing states or no?
No. We have Donald Trump has won Indiana and Kentucky, and Kamala Harris has won Vermont.
What? Vermont went Democrat?
Let's keep it moving. Eagles, Cowboys. This is the last 4:00 game. Cowboys are going to look a little different this week with Dak heading likely to IR. It's going to be a Cooper Rush game in Dallas, in Jerry World. I'm looking at these games. I'm guessing this is going to be the Brady game, America's game of the week, just because it's the Cowboys, and seemingly every game that Brady's on is the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Eagles getting 7.5 on the road. Cam, you're shaking your head, so lead us off on this one.
Yeah. Divisional matchup, new quarterback coming in, even though he did come in late last game. I do think the Eagles pull this one out, but more than a touchdown, I highly doubt it. We've talked about it over and over again at nauseum. This Eagles team loves to be in close games, even if they are winning. Definitely give me the Cowboys if it's going to be more than a touchdown. Going with the boys at home, plus 7.5 against a divisional opponent.
Michael?
I agree. Cooper Rush, 5-1 and starting when he's the starting quarterback of an NFL team. So that's
love that stat.
Little tidbit. I don't like the Cowboys at all, but I like the Eagles by a touchdown less. So yeah, taking the Cowboys.
What are your thoughts and opinions on Jonathan Mingo now joining the Cowboys? That's going to be a really loaded up.
I have a lot of Jonathan Mingo rookie cards.
So hopefully the stock goes up. I found it funny. Someone tweeted today that the Chiefs got Hopkins for like a 5th round pick. Who else? Mike Williams got dealt for like a 6th, and then the Cowboys traded like a 4th for Mingo.
Yeah,
it does make sense with like the age and whatever. But I'm with you guys. I'm taking the Cowboys plus 7.5. Cooper Rush, new quarterback change boost, also divisional game boost. That's what I was going to say before with the Saints game. Just came back to me. Double XP. Head coach.
All right, this isn't COD. Fucking chill out.
Well, they have the head coach, double XP with the divisional game, and then the Cowboys have that quarterback change, double XP with the divisional game. So I'm liking the Cowboys plus 7.5. Love that they gave us the 0.5 as well. So we'll make a clean sweep on that one. Now we head to Sunday Night Football. We have the Lions at the Texans. Texans get the 3.5 hook. I'll start it off. I feel like this is going to be a pick where I'm in alone by myself, and I'm taking the Texans plus 3.5. We've said it before on this pod that they don't really lose big games, blowout games. They did lose by 8 to the Jets, maybe more. Was that a double-digit game? 8 points. So
yeah,
they have been able to lose by touchdown, that sort of range. But I think they need to start reeling off these games as well. Also, what Mikey just mentioned with the hot streaks, the Lions that I believe lost to the Bucs in week 2 or something. I think not all these teams are going to go into the playoffs with 2 or 1 loss. I think the Lions are due for some losses. I'm not saying the Texans win this game outright, but I think they can keep it very close. I do believe there is a chance they win this game outright, but I'm not confident enough to take that. I will take the Texans in the 3.5 hook, though. Are you guys agreeing with my logic, or are you going with the wagon that has been the Detroit Lions? Cam shaking his head, so go ahead.
I'm going Lions. I mean, I feel like kind of a loose rule. I definitely haven't been following it, but Mikey definitely doesn't like to bet against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I don't like betting against this Lions team at all. If anything, I think that's more of a rule, especially with the spread being 3.5 as opposed to 8 with the Chiefs against Denver. Even though the Texans are a much better team than the Broncos, I just think it's very difficult to bet against this Lions team. They've proven themselves to be a consistent offense, high-powered scoring, and then their defense is also right there with it. I do think the Texans do have to turn it on. I just don't think it happens this week. I think it starts maybe next week or later on in the season. That AFC South division is also terrible. I think they run away with that division pretty easily. They don't really have too much stress on them on the back end side, but I'm definitely going with the Lions minus 3.5 here.
Michael, break our primetime tie here. Waiting all day for Sunday night.
I'm gonna stay with betting against Dub. I'm gonna take the Lions. I was just looking to check if Nico Collins is coming back, but I'm not sure if he is this week. Either way, this Lions offense is very good. They might be the best offense in the league. They're one of the most balanced offenses, and it would be. I'm interested to see how their defensive line matches up against the Texans' offensive line. I saw it in the Jets game. The Texans' offensive line is not good. They gave up 8 sacks. I think this could be a close game, but I just trust the Lions to score touchdowns more than I trust the Texans to score touchdowns right now.
Seemingly, Nico Collins is kind of like a 50-50 coin flip on whether he's going to play. Just circling back to that comment. But Michael, either me or you is going to have a really bad record next week. We'll see what happens, especially since we're 1 percentage point away. That could be really important moving forward, but we'll see what happens. Last game on the board, Monday Night Football. Not the worst game in the world. Dolphins at Rams. LA with that non-existent home field advantage. They get the 2.5 in their place. Cam, you said the Dolphins look good last week and you might have faith in betting on them. So are you going to follow through on that and take them, or are you taking the surging Rams?
I am. I'm definitely going Miami plus 2.5. This Rams team, extremely inconsistent. I know they had a decent one against the Vikings in prime time, but other than that, they haven't really shown to me what they are. I know they've been battling injuries at their weapons positions especially at wide receiver, but Miami coming off of a decent game, only losing by 3 on a game-winning field goal to a divisional rival on the road, and one of that being the Bills, who's one of the favorites to come out of the AFC. So I like the Dolphins in this matchup. I think it's a get-right spot, and it's a must-win for them if they're going to try and make a playoff push. So I'm going with the Dolphins plus 2.5 on the road in prime time on Monday.
Michael?
I'm taking the Rams here, continuing their strong push. I think it's the third week that they have both their stud wide receivers back. I don't know. I'm a Dolphins hater, so this is really more Dolphins hate than Rams love. But also, the Rams playoff bet is hanging in the balance here. So
Not
he'll be in it
particularly,
for the
but-
long run. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Cardinals are going to be dog shit. So
yeah, taking the Rams.
I'm trying to pull up the bet because on Pickett it has like the circle on whether you're going to win or not. But I'm going with the Rams as well. Probably a curse because every time I pick against them, they win, and every time I pick them, they win. So probably hammer Dolphins money line, especially after all my picks lose this week, and I'm like 1-12. But I'm taking the Rams minus 2.5. They've been hot. The Dolphins have been weirdly cold with Tua back. Tyreek hasn't really done much. Jalen Waddle had a decent game, I think, last week, but also really hasn't been that electric offense that we're used to seeing. Mikey mentioned it before that the Dolphins have really been a disastrous team and they're kind of getting overshadowed by other disaster teams in the NFL. I agree with that. I think maybe this is the week where they get brought to the light again. After that, they did have that 1 week against the Bills where they got blown out, where people were kind of criticizing them, but could see the Rams winning this game by like 10 points, and people start asking questions about Tua and the Dolphins again, as they only have, I believe, they have 2 or 3 wins right now.
2.
Yeah, so that's really bad. If they lose this game,
that's really bad.
The McDaniel question never seems to get asked, but I think it might be worth bringing up. I don't know, but I could see this game going either way. I just like the Rams better surging. Seems like they've unlocked something on offense with Puka and Kupp back, and Kyron Williams is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. He's been really good every week. So I like that Rams offense to get this job done on Monday night. Also, primetime Stafford feels like that's the thing that happened. So I like the Rams to close us out here. Now to our Focus 5. Some people's favorite segments to lose money, which last week, I don't know what happened. I'll give it out again. I'll say it. You guys make better picks with the odds and everything to try and make money, but a combined 0-10 from the guests on this podcast. We can't have that moving forward. So we need a Renaissance week. We need something. I even started making some crazy picks this week to win the viewers' money. But we'll start off with Michael. Your overall record on this year is 8-27 on your Focus 5. Coming off an 0-5 week, what are your plays for the people of the Dubcast this week?
Yeah, I apologize for last week. I wasn't locked in. I got locked in today making these picks. They will win. We're going to start off.
You can't say that or we'll get the FDA or whatever.
Oh, the FDA.
Yeah.
The Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah, I don't think that's
You remember Reese Davis was like saying, I don't know if anyone saw this story. He was like, that's a really good bet, or like I would bet that or something, and he got in trouble.
I did. No. That was last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't say that.
I don't think it was the FDA, but
I think it might have been the FDA.
The FDA has their hand in everything. They're
okay. Get
right.
out of here.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear the pick.
So I the past 3 or 4 weeks I've done a 3 wide receiver touchdown parlay, and none of them have ever hit. So we're gonna stay on that lane.
You're due.
I like it.
Basically. So my 3 receivers this week to score, we're gonna go Cooper Kupp. Didn't score last week. Justin Jefferson had 150 receiving yards. He didn't score last week, so we're taking him too. And we're also going to take Malik Neighbors in Germany. And all right, next one. To go along with that, we got a little Panthers money line because they're going to rattle off a few little wins here, and a Chubba Hubba touchdown.
Chubba Hubba.
Not only taking a 6-point underdog money line, but also taking Chuba.
He's a touchdown machine.
He is.
That's a real money maker if people that does hit.
So next one, pretty easy pick for me. Eagles money line with a Saquon touchdown. That's probably not a big money maker, but who knows?
Yeah, Saquon's like minus 200 every week.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
And then we're going to do a 3-team money line: Lions, Vikings, Ravens. They're all, I think, at least 3-point favorites, but they're all wagons. So hopefully they'll get her done. And then finally, we're going to do Cowboys, Eagles. We're going to take the over, which is surprisingly only at 41.5.
I might need to take that.
So, yeah, Cowboys, I think, will be able to score the rock with a good quarterback at the helm.
I like those picks. Cam, also 0-5 last week. Slightly better record, 9-21 on the year. What are your picks to make us some money?
Just to start off, I loved Mikey's first pick, the 3 touchdown scorers, Cup, Malik, and then who was your second one again? I might have to watch it back to place a bet on my
JJ.
own. But yeah, Justin Jefferson. I love that, honestly. As soon as you were saying it, it made my ears perk up, and I love that. Just to stick with my focus 5, I'm gonna go with, I have 3, like a team to win and then touchdown score, and then I'll do a couple parlays at the end as well. But first one, we're going to go Buffalo money line. As I mentioned, I love them going on the road against Indy, only at -4. And Cook to score a touchdown. He didn't score last week, and he's been probably their best weapon on offense throughout the entire year. So I'm going to lean on that as my number 1 for the Focus 5. Number 2, very similar, as I said, kind of the same spread on the road against a team that's inferior to them. I'm going the Vikings money line with an Aaron Jones touchdown, who also didn't score last week and has been one of their more reliable options on offense, especially to put the ball in the end zone. Third one, as much as it pains me to say, going with Mikey's Jets money line. And I like Wilson to score in this one. I think if they're going to win, they're going to have to throw the ball. I don't think it's going to be a running game. I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring between them and the Cardinals. And I think Wilson might be riding a little bit of a high. So I'm going to go with Wilson to score in that one as well. Fourth one, we got a 3-team money line parlay, similar to Mikey. We're going to go with the powerhouses here, though. We're going to go with Detroit, Buffalo, and Kansas City. I think that's also going to be better odds than you think, because Detroit's at -3.5 and Buffalo's at -4. So money line shouldn't be that crazy high. I know the Chiefs are at -8, which might take that down. But I have a funny feeling that'll be a little bit plus money. And then for my last pick, I'm going to do a little quarterback touchdown scoring parlay. These quarterbacks like to score touchdowns, but they haven't in recent weeks. We're going to go Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and we're going to go with Jaden Daniels, those 3 to score touchdown. That's probably the most value pick there. Very unlikely, but I mean, hey, if you want to make some money, you might have to get a little risky with it.
True that.
Fair enough. Solid picks besides the last one, but sometimes long odds do hit. So on to my focus 5, 24-19-1 on the year. I got some different stuff here. So I got a teaser parlay to start us out. I got the Giants -2.5. Teased them down from 6. I think the 6 number is just egregious. I did take them 6, but I'm not fully trusting in that. I do trust them to get this game won by a field goal. And I'll take the Bengals +10.5. That's up from the 6 that they have. So I do think that they will be able to at least keep this game within 6. So pair those 2 together. You got your London game and you got your Thursday night game. So either you have more money to bet on the 1 o'clock slate, or that you're told to stop because your bet's already losing. Got 2 underdog money lines straight up. We got the Saints money line. I think that the Falcons are due for a loss. We went over that game already, but double XP head coach change and the divisional matchup in the Dome. I like the Saints to get it done against the Falcons. I like the Steelers to get it done on the road in Washington. I think the Commanders' record is too bloated. It's going to be a close game. I think the Steelers can pull it out in a low-scoring game. Copied you guys for this one, so I'm taking the Chargers -7.5 spread along with J.K. Dobbins touchdown parlay. I'm not sure what the odds are on that. J.K. Dobbins seems to be a pretty consistent scorer every week, though. So I think like him to get it in against a terrible Titans team who seemingly can just, the Chargers may score 35 points. I'm assuming J.K. Dobbins will have one of those touchdowns. And then finally, we have the touchdown parlay. We're 0-2 in our last 2 weeks, but we did hit big 3 weeks ago. So hopefully trying to repeat that magic with the same formula. I'm taking one player from the Germany game. We got Malik Neighbors touchdown, so I'm in agreement with Mikey on that one. And then these 3 picks are very ugly, but we're going to get it done. First one that's not that bad, Kamara. He didn't score last week, so I think he can get it in against the Falcons. That over-under is pretty high in that game. I like DeAndre Swift to get in the end zone against the Pats. Very susceptible to the run. That's a very low over-under, so hopefully there are touchdowns scored, and if there is one scored, I think DeAndre Swift will get in. Last one, which I was mentioning before with the McCaffrey coming back, I took Debo to score. He's only scored 1 touchdown this year. I feel like he's due, but with McCaffrey being back, McCaffrey could just score like 4 touchdowns against the Bucs. But I think that game's going to be pretty high scoring, so Debo has pretty good odds. Maybe he can break one out. We saw DeAndre Hopkins had 2 touchdowns last night, so that defense is susceptible to wide receiver touchdowns. So that'll wrap up the Focus 5. Hopefully we have more winners in this, considering we went up combined 2 and 13 last week. But, if 1 or 2 or 3 of these bets hit, we may be rich. So thank you, gentlemen, once again for joining me. Cam, you get mad when I don't ask you for any college football picks. So anything you got? Or
Unfortunately, I have not done my college football research. Do we have a big game this week?
Bama LSU, I believe, in Bama. I think.
Do we have a spread on that?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Why is it set on Big Ten?
Is LSU favored?
No. Oh, it's in LSU.
Yeah.
And LSU is +3 at home. Bama coming into town.
Tough. Not gonna lie to you, I do like LSU coming off that loss.
Both teams 6-2. Seemingly a loss would take them out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, I just have more faith in this Bama team. You know what? Fuck it. Give me Bama -3, and then let's give the 18-year-old the touchdown scorer in that for a nice little parlay.
There is another big game, Georgia and Ole Miss. Yeah, Michael has family.
What is that spread?
Georgia.
Ole Miss at home +2.5.
All right, never mind. I recant. I'm gonna go parlay Alabama, Georgia. Book it.
That one is definitely odd for sure. Did you take what's it called last week? Penn State against Ohio State?
No, I took Ohio State. I actually won like 200 on Ohio State. Live bet them as soon as they threw the pick six. That was the most telegraphed pick six I think I've ever seen. That was like video game-esque. Very disgusting. But yeah, ended up doubling down on Ohio State a few times. Thankfully, they paid out for me. And then I proceeded to lose the majority of it on the Pats and ended up breaking a few items in my apartment. But yeah, Saturday was okay. Sunday, not so hot. But that just means we're doing it this Sunday.
Yeah, I've been the only things I placed were actually I was 50-50 because I did Ohio State and then I did Illinois and they lost because Illinois sucks and Vegas hates them. So any last parting thoughts before we head out for another week?
No.
We have one last comment in the chat coming in hot. Brett M says, enjoyed the show. Thanks, guys. Yes, thank you, Brett, for being a part of the squad.
Thanks for the viewership, brother.
Yeah, sticking along the whole way.
Yeah, next time we'll post the link and you can join.
Maybe we can tease that. Little caller call-in at the end. That is something we can do is post a link and let some guests on if we can handle it. Last comment, Fade Tennessee, -- Dubcast Cardinal rule.
Fade Tennessee.
Wrapping up this here. Go ahead.
Brett was in town in Charlotte this Saturday, and he met a few Tennessee fans, and one guy lost his mind, actually, watching the Tennessee game, and it was very enjoyable. We actually got to go watch the Seas as they were in town. Yeah, it was a good time. But I don't like the Fade Tennessee. I think he's just doing it to rile somebody's chops up, who also kind of views this podcast, but not live. But I'm sure he'll have some comments to say after the show.
You know what? We're a couple weeks into this. I'm comfortable saying we can pull people in live. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We can talk it through. But if you guys want to join, we're always live on Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on our schedules. So I try and post as advanced as I can on Instagram. But to our loyal listeners, maybe there's a chance for you to come on the show and rebut against our takes. Other Dubcast stuff that's dropped recently, we had Training Day movie review out on Monday, and then we also did Extraction 2. Did you guys see my TikTok? Probably not, but I put out the first 25 movie scores. Got wonderful comments from people of TikTok, who also were the same people that loved my Titans pick from week 3 or whatever. Just wonderful people over on TikTok, but it's been a blast. We got more content coming. The shows are on the way. So as always, be easy, enjoy yourself. Don't worry too much about whatever happens tonight. make sure to tune in college football rankings show. I know it's going to be stressful for everyone. So if your team isn't as high as you want them to be in the poll, it's okay. You know, everyone has their place in the world. So we're going to be all right as a country. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Cheers.
We'll leave you on that. Cheers to
Cheers.
another week in the books. Peace out.